Thank you, Pierre. Yes, it's Mega Movie Summer here at Universal Studios Hollywood, so watch out for the Minions all summer long. Maybe all day long. I mean, might even see a couple of Minions on this tour. I'll keep it a surprise for now, though. Now, like I said before, my name is Trevor. I'm going to be your tour guide this morning as we explore the Universal Backlot. Arguably, though, not the most important person on board. That would be our driver, Amanda, who's taking us around this morning. Say hi to Amanda, everyone. She says hi back. Fantastic wave. Now, in addition, it's not just the two of us. I do also have a co-host. You might know this co-host from his time on Saturday Night Live, as well as The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Here he is. Yep, it's Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You got the very best guy.
Trevor!
And the greatest driver.
Amanda!
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Trevor!
owes me $5.
Whoops, forgot about
I
that.
know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That is correct. I do have to go over just a couple of safety rules for your safety and comfort while on board the tram this morning. So first off, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram, or if you have any sound or video issues, reach up and grab the red emergency cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram. I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please remain seated, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. The studio is a private property. If any time during the tour you drop your phone or just get away to use the restroom, pull the cord and please remain seated. Also, please no smoking of any kind during the tour. And be prepared, our tour today features loud noises, fire effects, and many water effects, so you may get wet. There are also sudden tray movements during the tour to secure personal belongings and hold on. Finally, for your safety and those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while aboard the tram. Alright folks, with all of that out of the way, we're leaving the theme park behind and we're heading toward a real functioning studio. The one thing I quickly do want to mention about the theme park, over to the left hand side of the tram, you're going to see a little bit of work is still happening for upcoming brand new roller coaster, Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. Now folks, it looks so cool, I cannot wait to finally ride it myself. Unfortunately, we won't have to wait too long. It is coming out this year of 2026. To find out more details, you can visit UniversalStudiosHollywood.com. But anyway, like I was saying, we're now headed toward a real functioning studio where over the years we've produced television shows, commercials, music videos, and of course, movies. In fact, our legacy began back in 1914 and for over 100 years. Many of favorite films have made right here at Universal Studios. In fact, we're currently traveling down what we refer to as the Universal Timeline. The posters that have been seen to the right-hand side of the tram so far, they really represent just a fraction of the wide variety of films that Universal has produced. Universal Studios, by the way, is a part of NBC Universal, one of the world's leading entertainment companies, which includes Universal Pictures, Focus Features, Peacock, and NBC Television. Now this year, NBC is celebrating its 100th anniversary, from trailblazing radio and television to launching The Today Show, The Voice, Saturday Night Live, The Office, Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, every beloved show in between. NBC has been the home of entertainment, news, and sports for the entire century. We're celebrating that work all year long, and here's one incredible event that happened this month in NBC history. Specifically in June of 1933, comedy icon Bob Hope launched his career at NBC. Now he went on to become a Hollywood legend, hosting the Academy Awards a record 19 times, and his own NBC television program, Bob Hope Presents the Chrysler Theater, an anthology series that filmed inside Stage 10, coming up on the left-hand side of the tram. The Chrysler Theater ran from 1963 to 1967 and featured dozens of famous stars, including William Shatner, Janet Leigh, and Claude Rains. So congratulations, NBC, on its centennial anniversary. Well folks, just now we've entered the front lot of the film studio. The front lot contains all aspects of film production, and there are multiple stages to that production process as well. Now there's the pre-production phase, where we select what scripts we want to film, who we're going to cast in various roles, and what it's going to look like overall. Then filming commences. The best way to describe that is a phrase you've likely heard before: lights, camera, action! And then the post-production phase is we stitch all these scenes together, add a musical score, some digital effects as well before releasing on the big or small screen. Now coming up on the left-hand side of the tram, you're about to see one of many of what we call sound stages here at Universal, which is where filming will typically take place inside. Specifically, you're looking at stage number 14. Now, we here in Hollywood, we love using sound stages. Partially, that's because they're 98% soundproof. With construction up, we have a lot of trucks and trailers constantly driving by. For the most part, you won't hear any of that inside them. And you can build really whatever you want as well. So for instance, stage 14 is where we built the interior of the Grinch's lair for Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, starring Jim Carrey. That same soundstage was also used for the first Jurassic Park. That sequence when you see the Jeep come careening down to the wall, crash into the tree, Sam Neill just barely escapes with his life. Well, that was filmed right inside there as well. I'll mention, by the way, we have been extremely busy lately working on tons of films and TV shows with some of the best directors along the way as well, including such folks like Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, and of course there's also everyone's favorite, James the Minion. Yes, and as you can see, it looks like the Minions have taken over the studio lot, so might see a couple more. Who knows? That coming up on the right-hand side of the tram, you're going to see a couple Minions in front of stages 18 and 19, just hanging out, doing their thing. Now, among other things, stages 18 and 19 were home to what looks like a fantastic upcoming TV series called The 5-Star Weekend, which will star Jennifer Garner and come to Peacock, streaming in its entirety on July 9th, based on the novel by the same name. And another Peacock series coming up on the left-hand side of the tram. Now, might recognize a certain celebrity, a certain teddy bear, Ted. Of course, season 2 of his TV series, Ted, dropped back in March. Looks like he's currently trying to get himself an Emmy. It stars Max Burkholder and Seth MacFarlane, who plays the titular bear. If you need a good laugh, highly recommend check that out. It's fantastic, folks. But now, over the left-hand side of the tram, we're also passing really a very important location on the studio lot right now, our bungalows. Originally, these bungalows were dressing rooms for the stars. Folks like Lucille Ball and Jimmy Stewart have dressing rooms right over here in this area. These days, though, this is where producers are going to gather with actors, writers, and directors to come together, put together the next big film or TV show that they want to produce for the big or small screen. Now, such notable producers that work include Amy Pascal of Pascal Pictures, who's produced such things like Spider-Man, Across Spider-Verse for Sony Animation, as well as film Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling. In addition to the left-hand side of the tram, right now you should briefly see Mark Platt Productions. Now, he produced the Oscar-winning film Wicked, as well as its sequel Wicked for Good, both starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Now, we do also have an historic building also coming up on the left-hand side of the tram is this small office labeled 5195. Right next to those numbers is a painted silhouette. That signifies those once famed director Alfred Hitchcock's offices. Directed Psycho, North by Northwest. He shaped and influenced both the thriller and horror genres, as we all know them today. Well, anyway, folks, in a moment we are about to transition from the front lot and head to the backlot portion of our tour, where our large-scale exterior sets are located. Oh, very quickly, to left, you're seeing some final sound stages on our front lot, stages 25 and 26. These are some of our more recent ones. They were first used back in 2016 for Hairspray Live, which aired on NBC. It really condensed a huge part of the filmmaking process inside these sound stages, which is why they look a lot different from other ones. In this case, we built a writer's room inside, plus rooms for hair, wardrobe, makeup, really everything we need to put on the show. Now, currently the show that occupies those sound stages would be the TV series St. Dennis Medical, starring David Allen Greer, Clinton Covey, and Alice Tolman. Now, I should mention, by the way, these sound stages are nearly soundproof, but it turns out they're definitely not monster-proof, as, well, these Minions found out the hard way. Ooh, looks like quite the mess to clean up. Glad that's not my job. But now, we've officially entered our Metropolitan Backlot set. Now, over to the right-hand side of the tram, you can see some of it right now. Now, these sets, they've been used for such things like Transformers, directed by Michael Bay, Captain America, the first Avenger as well, so much more. Talking about St. Dennis Medical, though, for just a minute. As we enter our Metro sets, coming up on the right, you're going to see a little bit of an overhang set up with a truck parked right underneath it. Now, that's actually the exterior of the St. Dennis Ridge Metal Facility, and that's what we call a facade. Meaning we've really just built the front of the building. That's it. If you actually peek your head inside, you'd see there's not much of an interior. The actual interiors will be located inside our sound stages, stages 25 and 26. So editors really, they're cutting back and forth between this outdoor location and locations inside our sound stages, making it look like it's just taking place in a singular space. Now to the right also is a little bit more of our brownstone street, which was used for such things like the 1980s version of the film Annie, and let me show what it looks like in action, in this case from the film of Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey.
Close the door! Inside bad, outside good. Inside bad, outside good. Oh, you're done.
So yes, you're a real budget movie studio, folks. And now, arriving in personally one of my favorite locations on the Universal Backlot. This is our Courthouse Square. It's an iconic location that's been used for classics like Bye Bye Birdie and To Kill a Mockingbird starring Gregory Peck. More recently, to the left-hand side of the tram, this building labeled City Hall was also John Hancock High School for the Peacock original series Ted. But to this day, this whole area is best known as Hill Valley from Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2. The City Hall is also the clock tower that was struck by lightning. Of course, Doc Brown harnessed that lightning to power the time machine, sending Marty back to the future. Here to tell you more is writer and producer Bob Gale, as well as actor Christopher Lloyd.
It was actually the back lot of Courthouse Square that inspired the entire climax to Back to the Future.
I had scenes up in the clock tower on that ledge. There was a ledge about that wide. And I was standing inside looking at the ledge, and I already had vertigo. And I just thought, there's no way in the world, no way I'm going to stand all that. I was up there for quite a while. Of course, I had a cable.
Now, one of the great things about our metropolitan area is you can really travel great distances in a short amount of time if you need to. So, Hill Valley for Back to the Future, that was located on the west coast of the United States. Believe it or not, we've just driven all the way over to the east coast, our New York Street. Now, our New York Street, it's news for such things like the recently released TV series Spider Noir, starring Nicolas Cage. This is where during a season 5 episode, there was a huge fight that broke out at the end of the episode with Nicolas Cage in it. In addition, it's also been used for such things like the TV series Brooklyn Nine-Nine, starring Andy Samberg and Andre Braugher. Over the right-hand side of the tram, this building at one point was a bank, where a bank heist took place during a season 5 episode that co-starred Craig Robinson. Now, I do have a little bit of a confession to make about our New York Street, by the way. Now, I'm a Los Angeles native. I've lived in LA my whole life. Now, honestly, I've never actually been to New York, so I don't know a ton about the area, but fortunately, I have a certain co-host who has spent a lot of time here.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York! I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Always got mugged over there by an old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Hey, it's cool guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
Now, in addition, our Metro sets are also used for more than just scripted films and TV shows. For instance, also where we build the obstacle course for American Ninja Warrior, which airs on NBC and Peacock. Specifically, we build the obstacle course for the qualifiers and the semifinals for Universal. For now, though, we're leaving the concrete jungles behind, and for our next stop, we're taking a trip to the jungles of Skull Island, where King Kong resides. Here to tell you more is the director of the 2005 film King Kong, Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in adventure. And to me, Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island. It's great to have you along for the ride. We're about to return to Skull Island.
Now, before we return to Skull Island, folks, a brief reminder to please remain seated at all times. Keep your arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle. In addition, if you are carrying any belongings with you, now's the time I recommend you hold on to those items tightly. In fact, hold on tight in general, as visiting Skull Island can be a little bit bumpy ride. Very briefly now, though, I'll turn things over once more to Peter Jackson.
We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are like a window into his personality and his heart. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
You fought. Nobody's lived here for hundreds of years.
Was King Kong 360. Experience was designed by Peter Jackson and the team at Weta FX. Computer-generated imagery and digital effects have been important tools in movie making for many years. They've helped build the worlds in some of your favorite Universal Pictures, from sci-fi to fantasy to action films, and many more. Now, the technology for creating King Kong also has really come a long way when you think about it. When the original RKO picture came out back in 1933, they just used an 18-inch figure representing Kong, and with it at the time was considered a state-of-the-art version of stop-motion animation. Now, of course, when you think of stop-motion animation today, you probably think of fully animated films like Coraline, as well as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Anyway, very briefly, folks, we're headed back into our metropolitan area. Now, so far, over the course of our tour, we've traveled from the west coast to the east coast. Well, now we're traveling halfway across the globe to our London Square. Now, something to point out about our London Square, over the left-hand side of the tram, this massive brick wall that we're passing over here, it's not real brick. It can be time-consuming to lay out brick, and these sets, they go through quick turnaround times. We're constantly using for filming. What you're actually seeing is a plastic molding, which looks a lot like the real thing, which you can set up, film whatever you have to, and then tear down as need be. We're really all about convenience here in Hollywood. But our London Square has been used for such things like was transformed into India for the TV series The Mindy Project, which is starring Mindy Kaling. It was also San Francisco for TV series A Man on the Inside, starring Ted Danson, which aired on Netflix. And it was London for Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham. Now, I will mention, of course, for Hobbs and Shaw, they did film on location, meaning they filmed in London in addition to what they filmed here at Universal. The reason why you partially wouldn't notice anything comes down to the post-production process, editing. Now, generally, filmmakers try to give their editors a lot of shots to play around with, again, so they can seamlessly blend two different locations together to at least make sure it looks like it takes place in a singular space. Now, by the way, coming up on the left-hand side of the tram over here, you're seeing a little bit of a base camp that smells very good, I will admit right now. Now, this base camp in particular is for the voice, which I'll talk about a little bit more in just a moment, but normally includes such things like, in addition to the crafty, the free food, it will include such things like a video village. The director and actors can watch dailies, pretty much everything they filmed over the course of the entire day, plus trailers for hair, makeup, pretty much everything to get our actors camp ready. As for the right-hand side of the tram, just take a brief look at this gorgeous mural dedicated to our classic Universal monsters. This is created by Tristan Eaton, an artist who actually got to start just the age of 18, originally designing toys before he transitioned more that pop art design that you're seeing right there. Of course, we here at Universal, we love our monsters. They make up a huge part of our history, dating back to the 1920s. But yes, we have been working on the voice lately. In fact, coming up on the left-hand side of the tram, you should see their primary sound stages. Soundstage number 30 and 31, rather hard to miss, with a rather large iconic V logo. They're working on seasons 30 and 31 at the moment. I believe they're in the middle of the blinds right now. Season 29, it wrapped up not too long ago, the Battle of Champions, with Kelly Clarkson, Anne Levine, and John Legend as its coaches. Team Adam won. Congratulations to him and really everyone involved. It was a fantastic time. Now, one thing I'll mention, we do also rotate a lot of music legends in and out of The Voice over various seasons. For instance, season 28, Reba McEntire was one of the coaches. Now, however, she still works here on the Universal lot quite a bit. Right next door to the left-hand side of the tram are stages 32 and 33, where she stars in the TV series Happy's Place.
Hey there, I'm Reba McEntire, and welcome to Happy's Place. We shoot our heartfelt comedy right here on the Universal lot. Now, unlike most TV shows, we are a multi-camera sitcom, meaning several cameras capture every scene from a different angle all at the same time. Each episode takes about a week to make, from the first read-through of the script to rehearsals to taping in front of a live studio audience. And let me tell you, every step is a blast. Enjoy the ride, and we'll see you at Happy's Place. I'm starting to sweat. Just think about it. The men are the ones that's supposed to ask the women out. That hasn't been true for 30 years. I haven't dated in 30 years.
Happy's Place, Friday on NBC and Peacock.
Now, like Reba said, Happy's Place, and for that matter, other multicam sitcoms require a live studio audience. And if you ever want to become an audience member, you can go to oneiota.com, onCameraAudiences.com. Tickets are free as well, so hey, go on, check it out. For now, though, our next stop, we're entering our Little Europe set. Now, our Little Europe set was used for a movie, personally. It's going to be dating me quite a bit, that I grew up on. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. This was Port Royale. We see Captain Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp, escaping from the authorities. He ducks behind a statue for faithfully entered Will Turner's blacksmith shop, played by Orlando Bloom, in Little Europe. In addition to these streets, they've also portrayed Paris, France multiple times over the years, including such things like the TV series Gilmore Girls, as well as the 2011 The Muppets movie starring Jason Segel and Amy Adams' Kermit the Frog. It was also recently used for Ariana Grande's Brighter Days Ahead short film, but a couple of television comedy fans on board might still best recognize Little Europe as also being The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location. The afterlife? Come on. I have never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
If you haven't seen The Good Place, highly recommend it. Fantastic TV show with a lot of twists and turns that everyone spoil. Plus, it's created by Mike Schur, also co-created Parks and Recreation. Now, over to the right-hand side of the tram, this gorgeous area that we're passing, we call this the Court of Miracles. Now, it got its name from a film that is 103 years old, which is The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which starred Lon Chaney. Now, of course, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of our classic Universal monsters, and wardrobe, hair, and makeup are important in set decoration when it comes to telling a story on film and creating these monsters. It'll establish the character for actors who are serious about their craft, like these minions. Even if they do look a little bit crazy. But anyway, yes, Lon Chaney, who starred in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, phenomenal actor, who was known for doing his own makeup and creating these very creepy, almost grotesque characters. Now, he was so good at it, in fact, he was often referred to as the man with 1,000 faces. There was another film that he did, The Phantom of the Opera. It said that they had to have workers in movie theaters on standby with smelling salts because they were worried that the patrons watching the film might faint in horror when they saw Lon Chaney remove his mask. He was also very protective about his makeup secrets. He didn't reveal details to anyone, not even his own son, Lon Chaney Jr. Don't worry, Lon Chaney Jr., he went on a phenomenal film career as well, portraying the Wolfman, among many other things for Universal. Now here's just a little bit more about those classic Universal monsters.
And Universal type of monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein,
Wolfman.
Bride of Frankenstein,
The Mummy, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera.
classic films.
They're just brilliantly made.
That Frankenstein image, flathead, bolt. It's one of the great icons of the world.
That to me was like the essence of the Universal horror film.
I was just mesmerized by these movies.
Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney.
I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie really scaring me.
They're still ringing our memories now, and we love them.
At this time, folks, once more, remember to please remain seated at all times. Keep your arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle, and for your safety, please hold on. So we have a very exciting opportunity right now, folks. So far, of course, we've been driving past quite a few sound stages. Right now, we're entering one of them, sound stage number 50, where we're working on an upcoming production. This is what we call a hot set. That's a technical term, means everything is camera ready. This is exactly as it will be filming on Monday. But I want to point out, in comparison to a lot of the locations that we've been driving through so far, look at all the tiny details that goes to bring a location like this to life. Honestly, most of our backlot sets are going to keep fairly bare until the production comes in, and that's where production designers really come into play. Now, they work heavily with the director to come up with I'm trying to find this in California. Hold on. Uh-oh, folks. It's just folks, you all just survived Earthquake, the big one. Inspired by a disaster classic film Earthquake, which was originally released on November 15th of 1974, the film starred Charlton Heston, Richard Roundtree, and Ava Gardner. I will mention, by the way, there was another disaster classic that was originally supposed to be released just a month after the film Earthquake came out, December of 1974. Unfortunately, that movie experienced a lot of difficulties with filming, and they had to delay that latter filming the following summer. It actually ended up becoming one of the biggest films of all time, and it coined the term blockbuster, as we all know it today. You've probably heard of that movie, Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg. In fact, our next stop is going to be Amity Island from Jaws. So once more, just remember, please remain seated at all times with your arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle. Alright, yes, I think it's such a gorgeous day today. The temperature is perfect. The sun is out. On days like this, I love taking trips to the beach. And what better beach to visit than Amity Island, where Amity means friendship. Now, you might have heard about a shark problem. I'm sure by Mayor Vaughn, they've caught the shark. In fact, the seat is right hand side of the tram. So hopefully we'll have the chance to head on out there, get our toes in water, really kick back, relax, enjoy ourselves a little bit. I have a friend, by the way, George, fantastic guy, who's a diver. Has a lot of great stories to share. So hopefully I have the chance to meet him. Hang on, folks. Actually, it looks like they're using shark in the water. There's a shark in the water. Well, George is sitting there right now. Oh no, I think that's him. George, quick, Captain, there's a shark! Oh no. Poor George, what's the guy doing there? I think I see his ghost too. Everyone say, put the train forward for behind this pier. Alright, everyone stay calm. There is a barrel full of bait under the water that'll hopefully destroy the ship. That'll be safe back here in the water. Okay, let's see what we get. Up, yep, take the bait. And half it off a bit. Oh, there's a bigger tram. Everyone was Jaws. Jaws, the attraction, became a part of our studio tour in 1976, and it actually celebrated its 50th anniversary being a part of the tour back in April. It originally opened on April 10th. If you look to the right, of course, now you can see our mechanical shark slowly doing the backstroke, getting ready for his next take. He's professional. What can I say? His name is Bruce. He's named after the original mechanical shark from the film Jaws, who is in turn named Bruce after Steven Spielberg's attorney. For now, though, I will let everyone know we are halfway through our tour, so just a brief reminder to please remain seated during the entire tour. The studio is private property. If any time during the tour you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the red cord to get my attention. I'll be back to assist you. Now please remain seated at all times. Here we are now in our old Mexico set. Now it's here where we have a weather demonstration for you. We'll show you exactly how we bring weather effects to life in Hollywood. So here we are, the stage is set, and there comes the storm. Now for starters, that thunder that you're hearing, I'll be honest, typically we don't add sound effects until the post-production process. On set, primarily want to capture actors' dialogue, make sure we can hear them nice and clearly. And there's the rain, just on cue. Now there's no fancy technology involved with creating rain. In this case, it's just coming out of high-powered sprinklers. Gravity does. No heavy lifting. Or heavy falling, I should say. And now, this is certainly a great time to take photos or video if you want. Rain normally can be a little bit difficult to capture in camera. Generally, we make our rain a little bit thicker so cameras can pick it up at all. But with the sun out right now, it's looking at top a little bit, so it's much more noticeable. Boy, this is a very heavy storm. Hang on, looks like we have a flash flood. 6 attractions for the studio tour Flash Flood, created back in 1968. Now that area also has been used for filming, among other things. It was used for the music video for Lady Gaga's song Judas, as well as the film Big Fat Liar, starring Frank Muniz and Anna Pines and Paul Giamatti. Well, we're now continuing our trip through the Wild West. For our next stop, we're entering our western town, which we call 6 Points. Now, we call this town 6 Points because back in the silent era of filmmaking, the street had 6 different roads connected to it. And every road had its own bank, its own saloon, its own jail. All of the film locations you would need to make a western. They were actually able to film 6 different movies here simultaneously because during the silent era, of course, they really didn't have to worry about sound bleeding over other productions. These days, you might recognize 6 Points a little bit for those who watch Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That film starred Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie, and Brad Pitt. This is where Leonardo DiCaprio, playing Rick Dalton, who was dropped off to a film set upset with the way his career is going, unfortunately did have young Julie Butters tell him how great a performance he was giving. Now, a minor thing to note about 6 Points, if you look over the left-hand side of the tram, you'll notice some of our doorways, they're much smaller than you might expect. Now, honestly, that's because a couple of our cowboy stars were a little bit shorter than we advertised. We had to use forced perspective to essentially make them appear nice and tall. So how that works, that cowboy star that was a little bit too short, we place them in front of one of these smaller doorways. Angle the camera typically a little bit lower than them to give them a taller, bulkier appearance than they actually had. Now, on the other hand, our leading ladies, honestly, we usually place in front of the taller doorways, thus making them appear shorter than they actually were. And occasionally, if we wanted a wide shot of the pair of them strolling through the town, taking the sights of the saloon, something like that, we would dig a trench in the middle of the road and have the leading lady walk in that trench next to the cowboy star, again, just to make sure it appeared nice and tall. Forced perspective, by the way, was used to great effect for both the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, specifically when it came to creating effects of the hobbits themselves. So if you've seen any of those movies, you've definitely seen forced perspective in action for yourselves. Anyway, at this time, folks, you're about to notice we're going to do a tiny bit of backtracking. Very briefly, we are going to be driving by Amiga from Steven Spielberg's Jaws once more, which gives me the chance to talk a little bit about Steven Spielberg, as he really played a crucial role bringing Jaws to the studio tour. In fact, actually, instead of me talk about it, I'll let the man speak for himself here.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the crab. And the thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on Universal Lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, Jaws, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
Well, we've now left the beach behind, and for our next stop, we're headed home to Colonial Street. Now, our Colonial Street, I like to think of it as anywhere USA, because we really can't transform this any kind of neighborhood that we might need. For instance, this was recently featured in the TV series The Burbs, starring Keke Palmer and Paula Pell, which aired on Peacock. Also coming up on the right-hand side of the tram, this White House with the green door, that's Ted's house for the Peacock original series, Ted. To this day, of course, this whole street is still best known as being Wisteria Lane for ABC's Desperate Housewives. Speaking of Desperate Housewives, occasionally I get asked, why do we use backlot sets? I mean, there are plenty of neighborhoods nearby. Just film up there instead. Well, over the course of Desperate Housewives run, among other things, they had a plane crash, they had a fire burn down their homes, they had a tornado go through the neighborhood. Things that are all very difficult to achieve, to recreate at a real-world location. One of the best reasons to rent out a backlot set is to have a controlled environment, especially with special effects like fire effects start getting involved. Just make sure whole cast and crew are all safe. Another great thing we can also do with this neighborhood is also change the seasons to suit our needs. For instance, to make it look like fall, honestly, we're going to strip some of these trees fairly bare of their leaves and staple artificial orange leaves in their place, and then scatter the ground with orange leaves as well. On the other hand, to give it that winter feel, in this case we hired a company called Snow Business, because as the saying goes, there's no business quite like snow business. We'll completely cover this area in artificial snow. Generally, by the way, when we film winter holiday movies and TV shows, typically we do that in the middle of the summer. So the next time you see someone wearing a heavy overcoat acting like they're freezing cold, in reality, they're sweating profusely underneath all those layers. You really have to give them respect for that. Hello there. For now, though, as we leave our colonial street behind, we're driving up Steven Spielberg Drive. He's had a long relationship with the Academy Award director, including working on his recently released movie Disclosure Day, which, here to tell you more about it are a couple of its stars, Emily Blunt and Coleman Domingo.
Hello everyone, I'm Emily Blunt.
And I'm Coleman Domingo. Let us tell you about our new film, Disclosure Day.
This film explores what happens when a single, undeniable truth is revealed to all 7 billion people on Earth at the same moment. Ordinary people are confronted with something far bigger than they ever imagined.
Designed to be seen on the big screen, this is a story meant to be shared, felt, and experienced together. Here's a special look at Disclosure Day, when all will be revealed. People are starved for the truth.
The human race cannot accept what we know.
From Steven Spielberg.
What did you steal?
Secrets.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
If you do this, there's no one doing it.
That's the plan.
3, 2, 1.
This is Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day. Rated PG-13 in theaters now.
Now to the left we have another great photo opportunity. You're seeing some of our picture cars. Picture cars being literally any plane, train, or automobile that you see on camera. These are certainly some of our more well-known ones, including coming up is one of the Ford Anglias from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Over the course of filming, they used 16.5 versions of that vehicle. For them, they chopped off the front half to get those close-ups of Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. And then towards the end, we have the Duesenberg from The Mummy Returns, starring, and I always love saying this, Academy Award-winning actor Brendan Fraser. Just feels so good to say. Now, by the way, if anyone is feeling a little bit tired, I get it. It's starting to get a little bit warm. I'm sure you've already done a ton of walking around the park today. Might be a perfect time to stop off at the Bates Motel from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Right here, there are 12 rooms with 12 vacancies, and if you look at the top of the hill, folks, that's Norman Bates. Now I'll mention, even the Bates Motel, it can be nice. Norman Bates is a little bit temperamental, so let me do all the talking here, and hopefully everything will be okay. We'll see how this goes. Okay, here's his home. Hi, Norman. Sorry, didn't mean to disturb you. We're just passing by. Hopefully you're having a pleasant day. We're just gonna keep on rolling along. If you yep, drive, Amanda, drive! Ooh, that was a close one, folks. We made it, though. We made it. And we just entered the set for the film War of the Worlds. Now, War of the Worlds was directed by Steven Spielberg and starred Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning. Over to the left-hand side of the tram, that plane that you're seeing, that is a real 747 that was decommissioned before it was used for filming. Now, this plane, it also was extremely difficult to transport it down through 2 beams. Workers, in fact, they had to move the ceiling of that plane just to make sure it could fit under any overpasses that it went through. Now, once it did finally arrive down here at Universal Studios, they were supposed to reinstall the ceiling, but before they had the chance to do so, director Steven Spielberg stopped by and loved how it looked so much. It's very ominous, like the aliens had abducted everyone inside the plane, but he has to keep it as is. Here to tell you more about this location is production designer Rick Carter, as well as Steven Spielberg.
The airplane press site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision of Steven.
When you first again sit down to talk about Glory of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep close on me. Listen now, listen. I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now I'm closed. Bobby, get in. Get in.
Now, I'll mention at this time, folks, we have entered the final 10 minutes of our tour, and we will be returning to the theme park shortly. Just remember to pull the red emergency cord if you need assistance, and please remain seated on the tram at all times. Now, at Universal Studios, over the years, we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of iconic film directors. Now, one of the more recent ones would happen to be Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele got his start in sketch comedy. He went after the duo of Key and Peele before he transitioned over to writing, producing, and directing, where since then really he's become a master of the horror genre. Now, he won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for writing the film Get Out, which is also his directorial debut. Right now, folks, we're about to visit Jupiter's claim from his film Nope. Here to tell you more is Jordan Peele.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Share. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Why? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. So live. Anyway, behind this home is a frontier town lies a welcome to the world of no.
Sure what that is, folks, but let's get out of here, shall we? The moment I saw looking like an odd cloud moving in the sky. Now we do have one more great photo opportunity coming up. On the right-hand side of the tram is a filming location called Falls Lake. Now it features one of the world's largest freestanding blue screen backdrops, and next to it is a set piece built right here on the studio lot for one of our most anticipated films from this mega movie summer. Here to tell you all about it is director Christopher Nolan.
For the Odyssey, we wanted to take audiences on Odysseus' incredible journey across the world, across this mythical world of adventure. And to do that, we shot IMAX film all around the world in incredible locations. And we wanted to put audiences on the deck of the ship. So we shot with full-size ships, like the one that you're seeing right now, and went out on the oceans of the world with our IMAX camera and with our incredible cast led by Matt Damon to really try and take audiences on this incredible thrill ride.
The Odyssey, in theaters July 17.
Now, Christopher Nolan shot almost all of the Odyssey on fantastic locations around the world, including Scotland, Morocco, and Iceland. However, principal photography wrapped up right there at Falls Lake with that very ship in the water. After enduring all of the challenges on location like freezing temperatures and rain, Matt Damon and the crew had joked that they would have an easier time filming in the controlled environment of our studio lot, only to find out that with 2 jet engines blasting water at them, well, they were just as cold and wet being on the ship here at Falls Lake as they were on the real ocean. Now, we can't wait for you to see Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey shot with IMAX cameras in theaters starting July 17th.
Odysseus, don't you want to remember?
I remember the wife, the son. I can still save him. No one can stand between me and home. Not even the gods. The Odyssey, theaters July 17th.
Now, for over 110 years, Universal's been thrilling audiences around the globe. Our founder, Carl Emily, had a vision to make movies that make audiences laugh, cry, or sit on the edge of their seats, and similarly, I hope that you all been inspired by our visit to the studio tour today as well. Thank you all for joining us here at the world-famous Universal Studio Tour. To our past members, of course, a very special thanks to you for joining us today. If you're not a past member, you can head to Universal Box Office to see how you can upgrade today's ticket to an annual pass so you can come back again and again. Also, be sure to download the Universal Studios Hollywood app. That's you'll confirm that the park closes today at 10 o'clock p.m. Plus, you can check for wait times, do mobile food ordering, and so much more. And your Mega Movie Summer continues in the theme park. Meet characters from Illuminations, Minions and Monsters, and Wicked, and celebrate the Fast and Furious 25th anniversary with a street racing fan show, and so much more. See the movies, then celebrate them with us every day this summer through August 9th. All that being said, on behalf of our driver Amanda, myself, Trevor, and everyone here at Universal again, thank you for joining us for the world famous studio tour. As we say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.